Hi there. Welcome to another episode of Friday Night Videos. My guest this week is Toni B. I'm not even going to try to say her last name. Can't do it. With Toni B Yoga. And she'll tell you how to spell her last name. Or you don't have to spell it. Just tell us what it is. But good to see you, Toni. Thanks for spending some time with me.
Oh, my pleasure, Jeffrey. I think the world of you and how much your talent and your energy, your personality, your expertise has helped me. And it's my pleasure to talk about that and do what I can to support you.
Thank you. Now, really, do say your last name.
Well, it's hyphenated. I'm a hyphenator, and I use my last name like I do my accessories. I change it all the time. So my maiden name is Brucato, and my married name is Kobet. So it's Toni Brucato Kobet, but the business is Toni B Yoga.
And that is why I didn't even try to say it. And that is why we made your brand Toni B.
Yes.
Can you imagine somebody trying to spell that out to get to your website?
Yes, no. And everybody says Kobet, and it's not French. I've been told it's German. Of course, it's not my name, so I don't know. My husband always thought he was German, 50% German, but now with things like Ancestry.com, he's found out he's not even German. So where the name comes from, I really don't know.
Okay, we'll just stick with Toni B.
There you go.
So tell us, first of all, let's set the stage. You have had, Toni B Yoga didn't come into being until you retired.
Correct.
So tell us kind of how you got there and what passion drove you. Like, what was that aha moment or that thing that drove you to, find me and do a personal brand and create everything all together? Tell me how that came into being.
Well, if I really trace it back, because you've given me time to think about it, I don't think you and I have talked about the fact that I'm adopted. But I'm adopted by an Italian American and a German American, and I am Mexican American. And I've always known that. My parents were advised to tell me from the time they were holding me as a baby. And my consciousness and awareness of that always led me to think, hey, I could be X, Y, and Z. But because I was blessed to have them as parents and to have the privilege that held, I felt like I always wanted to reach out for others less fortunate, and I went into social work. And then from there, I went into psychology, and I've worked with gang members, always in a Latino community, wanting to give back to people that were of my heritage. And from that experience, we did things like teach them about their cultural history because they identified so strongly with their gang. And we thought, you know what, they probably have that disconnect. And if they knew the strength of who they are, they would maybe open them up to different choices. So I have always been a healer, but in non-traditional ways. So when it was time for me, when I thought about what I did in my career as a clinical psychologist and a school psychologist, I always referred parents to take their kids to yoga, where they could learn to quiet their mind and unite their breath with their body, slow things down, and just develop an appreciation for who they are as spirits and as people. So I think it got to a point where, I was ready to retire. I went from full-time to part-time, and even that was just exhausting me. And I went to a conference at the University of California, Irvine, on yoga as medicine. And it was there that I said, you know what, I can do this now. I can make a switch. I can follow a new vision. I'm not stuck in an old rut and in a way that I have to be. So that's when I said, you know what, this is the new direction for me.
Awesome. And you have been blessed in that your husband has been fully supportive throughout this whole transition.
Yes.
That is excellent. That is excellent. So when you started, though, you started with Yoga Nidra.
No, I did not.
You did not. You started with asana.
Yes. I mean, in terms of my education, it was asana first.
Okay.
And then Yoga Nidra. I got into Yoga Nidra by accident, really. And I was intentional about yoga. And Yoga Nidra was something that just came up and I fell in love with. And when I thought about what I really wanted to do also was to lead women in vision board workshops, because so many of my girlfriends, I've heard them say, I don't want to retire because if I do, I believe I'll die. And to me, that was just sad, because I knew them. I knew their heart wasn't in what they were doing. I knew their passion wasn't there, but they were doing it because it was the easiest thing to continue along with. And, you know, for some people that's fine, but for others, I at least want them to have that option, that awareness of options. And to me, vision board workshops do that, because it allows you to listen to what you like and to dream and to put that forward so that you can really nourish that vision and what's inside. So when I started thinking about what I wanted to do going forward, it was asana, yoga nidra, vision board workshops. And it made sense to sell doTERRA because I use doTERRA essential oils in my practice.
That makes sense. I love what you just said about there being options in retirement versus an alternative to retirement. You hear that so often. People are afraid of that, you know, how many people say these days, you know, your value isn't based upon your productivity, but until these recent weeks, we have been taught as Americans that is a big part of our self-worth and value. And so we're relearning those things. So I like how you put it there, that there are options in retirement instead of that alternative.
Yes, yes.
And I love that we pulled everything, all of those things you wanted to do in under this one umbrella that really speaks to your personal brand, because your brand is personal. It is completely congruent to the brand we built for your practice overall. There was no separation. It's Toni B through and through. How does it feel? How does your brand feel from then when we did it 2 years ago almost?
Yeah, about a year and a year, just about a year.
Okay.
Really.
How does it feel then versus now? What has evolved for you through that brand?
Well, the process of creating my brand with you helped me see it outside myself and help me be aware of it more concretely, because you put words to it, you put colors to it, you put a font to it, you put scenes to it. And it's things that I had in my head that were abstract and not as solid as they were when you put it into my beautiful book here.
I still use your book for reference too, you know. What made the difference? Of course, we went all the way through, we built your brand, and we did a website and all of that. But I noticed a difference in you, I want to say at a NABO meeting, before you had your brand, and then when you walked in and you had your business cards and you had your materials, right? And you had, I felt that you felt different about your business at that point. Tell me about that.
Yes, I think that when the visions are just in my head, and there is 360 degree of possibility and options. So when you created my brand and my book for me, it narrowed the angle, so to speak, of options. So it gives me direction and gives me a solid foundation from which to create. So it makes it a lot less overwhelming. It focuses, gives me clarity, just gives me direction. I can think about things of what I want to create, what event I want to have. So the possibility is endless, but when I want to express it, it narrows it down.
Okay. So I love what you're talking about, that it gives you, maybe you said the space to create or the jumping off point to create. I am betting, I'm going to put you on the spot right now. So if you don't, that's cool. But I am betting you have recently done a vision board, since you do the workshops so often. Do you have one there you could show us?
I do.
I knew it. Yes. I was hoping.
Yes.
Okay. And this is the most recent done when?
Let me see, do I have a date? Probably last August.
Okay.
So I'm due to do a new one, actually.
And what is the central theme of this one, or what is the important focus, or what are you thinking most?
I think central is always yoga. And yoga is philosophy, and it's so much more. I mean, it's so much more than just asana. It's breath. It's learning to surrender. It's holding space for opposites. And this is a perfect time for that, because we probably all fluctuate from fear and anxiety and worry to peace and contentment. And that cycle may happen so frequently or less frequently on a certain day. And so just being with that and knowing that that's a part of life, and knowing you don't have to fight that, you can experience it and let it go, is just so central to my life and my ability to be there for others in strength, in peace, and in love.
That makes me happy. Even when you talk, Toni, having known you and worked with you for a while, even when you talk and you're saying holding space for this or finding peace, I find myself, when you are talking, taking a breath and exhaling, and everything feels just a little more right with the world when you do that.
Oh, that's great.
You keep that up here all the time, and you just take those deep cleansing breaths. All is right in the present moment. It's all good.
Yes.
How do you think you can, because I mean, if I were thinking through that, so many lessons there already that we haven't even talked about, all the other things, the big ones that people can learn from. But that has been holding space for, I don't think you said opposition, but holding space for those alternative viewpoints and things like that, and still being with it. Those are great lessons to learn, not just in work, but also in life.
Absolutely.
What is a super big comeuppance that just smacked you in the face and you were like, crap, that didn't work right? I need to, yeah, learn from that, redirect, go in a different way, something like that, something that can save our viewers from maybe making the same mistake.
Um, well, for me, a big lesson learned is inviting people to my events and inviting them on the phone or in person or through another personal way. I was thinking I'm more of an introvert, I think, by nature, although, and I value relationships, but I've never been in the situation of asking people to join me or join me in an event. And that, I've walked a tightrope of not feeling comfortable and feeling okay about that. So I have changed from just letting things happen and evolve. Like if they want to come, they'll come, and just be open-ended by that, to being more solicitous. I don't know if that's the correct word, but you know, calling people more regularly and saying, this is what I've got going on. It may not be that your time may not be fit in with your schedule or your interests right now, but at least extending that invitation in a more personal way.
I love that. You're hitting on something that is so much larger than a spiritual practice business like yours, in that so many people build it and hope they will come, whether it's a website, whether it's an event, whether it's a business, whether it's a workshop, whether it's one of those things. And you build it and you're like, this is amazing. I'm doing this incredible impact for people. I'm helping people do this or that or the other. And of course they'll come.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to realize, you have to recognize that you have to invite people into your space. You have to invite them into the conversation, because we're not in business because it's a hobby. We're in business because we want to have impact and income. And we have to, in order to do that, we have to invite people. You're absolutely right. That's a lesson that is hard learned sometimes, because the disappointment when people don't show up and you're practicing in an empty room, or to your best friend or your mom, right? Or or you launch your website and you have all these wonderful products to sell that you have created over the last umpteen years, and now you're offering them for sale, but nobody buys them because they haven't been invited to. And yeah, that is a hard lesson, full of disappointment, full of discouragement, full of should-haves. You should all over yourself. I should have done this. I should have done that, instead of actually doing it.
Yes. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Inviting people is key.
Yes.
It's key.
Mm-hmm.
What else are there any other big lessons that you'd like to help somebody else avoid the pitfalls for? Like, come on, there's got to be some other, like, a real fuck up that you were like, oh, I wish I'd done that differently.
I think the next big thing is pricing myself too low. But I think that was also a very needed experience.
Okay.
Because I needed to experience that continuity, or that continuum of the lowest price to the highest. And it helped me, that edge helped me learn it needs to come in a little bit more, or a bit more. So I think that was the other thing, like, oh man, this was way too low. This is me taking advantage of me and letting that happen. And so I had to say, no, this not again at that price.
Yeah, that is a hard knock lesson that we hear a lot, especially, in marketing, we're working with price and promotion a lot, positioning, product. Uh, and often people, you come from, especially as new entrepreneurs, new business, especially if you've never been in business before. And the trends show women do it more than men. We undervalue the service or product we provide. And so you're coming from a scarcity mindset going, well, if I price it low enough, then that barrier to entry isn't there and people will just come and participate. But what we're really doing is making it seem like it doesn't have the value it does. Because if you value it more, you often get more out of it. You put
Yeah.
more in.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. If somebody wanted, so right now I know we're limited because we can't come to a class and we can't gather a bunch of people together and do those sorts of things. But how, when we can gather again, when we can do vision board workshops and take yoga classes and do those sorts of things, how would somebody, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you, my dear?
Probably the best way is to give me a call or text.
Okay.
And that's at 480-330-4018.
All right. I will put that up on the screen too, so everybody can just call away
Yes.
and have conversations so you can invite them.
Yes, exactly.
And that will be wonderful. Thank you so much for visiting with me
Thank you.
and being part of Friday Night Video. Namaste.
Yes. Peace and light.
Peace.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey. I really appreciate it.